Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk. We're here every Monday night, 7 p.m. at Dugan's Pub, 29 West French Broad Street in Brevard, North Carolina. Glad you're able to join us either here in person at Dugan's Pub or wherever you may be tuning in from in the world of Facebook or perhaps SoundCloud. Exciting show on tap tonight. Men's basketball coach Lee Burgess, men's lacrosse head coach Jim Fritz, the newly appointed defensive coordinator for Brevard College football, Luke Jakes, will be on the show. Women's lacrosse head coach Kristin Lozano. We'll have student athletes from both women's lacrosse and women's basketball, and also women's basketball assistant coach Taylor Hyatt. So a loaded show tonight on Tornado Talk. Want to thank all of our sponsors: Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and, of course, the home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Now, I do have some breaking news from this afternoon. Matthew Scavato of Brevard College Baseball wins the USA South Rookie Pitcher of the Week award. A impressive performance this weekend for Matthew. A dominant debut on the mound in a win over William Peace over at the USA Baseball National Training Center in Cary, North Carolina. The Tornado baseball team won 2 of the 4 games played this weekend against William Peace. So good start for the Tornadoes, and they'll have their opening day this Wednesday, 2 p.m. versus Montreat at Gilcone Field. Men's lacrosse, to catch you up, won their season opener 17-10 at Montreat last Wednesday, then had their home opener over the weekend, a loss to Birmingham Southern. We'll talk to Jim Fritz about men's lacrosse a little bit later in the show. Women's lacrosse won 14-5 in their season opener over Brunel. That was this past Saturday, so good win for women's lacrosse. We'll talk to some of those student athletes along with head coach Kristin Lozano later. Softball getting geared up for their season opener this weekend at Piedmont International in Winston-Salem. That's this Saturday. Doubleheader starts at 1 p.m. in case you're in that area. Do want to give a shout out to the tennis team who was very active in the community this weekend, participating in the world-class event, the Fed Cup in Asheville, USA versus Australia, and Brevard College Tornado tennis team able to volunteer at some youth clinics up there associated with the Fed Cup and then take in some of the action. Men's tennis will be in action at Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte this Saturday, 1 p.m. Climbing's gearing up for a competition this Saturday at Western Carolina, and just a couple weeks away from Brevard College spring competition at the Brevard Rock Gym. That's Saturday, February 23rd. You don't want to miss that one. Road cycling and track and field continuing their spring preparations as well. Their seasons start in earnest in March. That brings us to basketball. First on the women's side, a 61-41 loss at Berea last Wednesday, but then a big 67-63 win over Pfeiffer on Senior Day. Congratulations to seniors Chasha Hollinger and Annalie Bollinger. Bollinger with 28 points, 6 3-pointers, now the all-time leading three-point made champion at Brevard. Women's basketball will wrap up their season this Wednesday with a rematch against Pfeiffer, 6 p.m. on the road at Pfeiffer. And that brings us to men's basketball, a 79-67 loss versus Covenant on Friday. Covenant, a very impressive team. Now, through the weekend, a 15-1 conference record, and also a loss to Greensboro on Saturday on Senior Day. And joined now by head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess. Coach, thanks for joining the show again.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
Well, do want to start up on Friday night, a very strong Covenant club.
Mm-hmm.
Fair to call them the class of the USA South this season?
It's been that way this year, yes. They've been really, really good. One loss on the year at home to North Carolina Wesleyan in a close game. I believe it was North Carolina Wesleyan that got them. So they're really good, and they've played consistently throughout the year. Have had some really, really close games that they've been able to gut out on the road, and yeah, I would say that they're the class of the league right now.
Now, individually for the Tornadoes on Friday night, Gaddafi Turner, really one of his better games of the year. He led the team in scoring with 16 points, and also Joshua Wilson, 13 points, hit 2 of 3 threes, and 5 rebounds. Maybe comments on those two?
Yeah, we had some pretty good individual performers in that game. You know, Josh, I think, is just getting more comfortable as a freshman. He just, you know, game reps. There's no real substitute for that. I think he's finding his rhythm with that. You know, Q is one of our better shooters on the team, and he got some decent looks, I believe, against Covenant. Was able to knock those in, and you know, when he is shooting the ball well from the perimeter, then it does open things up for us. And you know, I thought, like I said, individually we had some decent performances in that game. As a whole, you know, I thought watching it live that our team battled pretty well in that game. Watching it on film, it showed a little bit of a different story that I think we could have cleaned up a little bit, just in terms of some physical mistakes that we made that I wish we could have cleaned up during the game. But yeah, Q and Josh had good games, you know, individually, and you know, that was good. And with back to Josh, I just think just no substitute for the game reps. The more he's out there, the more comfortable he's getting. He doesn't press too much, kind of lets it come to him, and he's also been scoring the ball a little bit better with his back to the basket around the rim, which I think has helped him.
Yeah, certainly a player to keep an eye on, you know, throughout his career, freshman from Alaska, and really coming into his own. Now, Saturday, a disappointing loss to Greensboro, but it was also senior day, and Cavell Kingsbury, and the night before, on the eve of senior day, had an electric dunk in the early minutes of that one, and then on senior day itself, 16 points, led the team in scoring, kind of, you know, a fitting story. You know, we've talked about Cavell before, but just one last time, you know, while we can, as far as his career and his meaning as the senior on this club.
Yeah, I think Cavell offensively had a really good weekend. That was, you know, fun for him and good to see. You know, he's a guy that, you know, I think the guys respect because he does work really hard, and you know, is not. I guess probably as it doesn't come as naturally to him as it does to others, but the way he opened the game against Covenant was a really, really strong statement, and I think springboarded our team to be able to hang with that Covenant group, you know, kind of throughout the 40 minutes. I think that start got us going in a really, really good direction. Then leading us in scoring against Greensboro, you know, that was a good thing for him to have on senior day. I wish we could have played a little bit better as a group. But for Cavell to have 16 on senior day is a fitting story for sure.
Now, one last chance for the home crowd to see the Tornadoes men's basketball team in action, and that's this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. versus Maryville at the Bosch. And this game takes on special purpose as well. It's the Redout game that's been held the last few years here at Brevard College. The game will serve as a way to memorialize Jimmy Griffin. Fans and students in attendance are encouraged to wear the color red in conjunction with American Heart Association's Heart Month, which promotes heart health awareness in the Brevard community. And Jimmy Griffin was somebody very special to you, as well as assistant coach Kaylin Johnson. And this has been a great program, and a lot of money has been raised between Brevard College and also Samford, you know, in Jimmy's honor. Could you tell fans a little bit more about this program and, you know, how
Absolutely.
meaningful it is to the team?
So Jim was a player that was, while I was an assistant at Samford, we recruited to Samford, and he was on the team for 5 years. He redshirted his first year and then played for 4. And early in September of his 5th year, he went to sleep and did not wake up, and was found by his roommate, who was our starting point guard. And as you can imagine, just really ripped through the program, but not just the program, but the school. I mean, being a 5th-year senior, yeah, I think Jim had touched a lot of people on that campus, and a lot of people knew him, had relationships with him, and it was a very, very tragic event. So, we started something at Samford where we would play a red game every year in conjunction with the American Heart Association in honor of Jim. One of the things that his mom asked of us as his coaches and his teammates was that we just, would keep his legacy going as long as we possibly could. So when I got up here to Brevard and KJ came with me, and it was a special thing that we wanted to keep going, and we've been able to keep it going here, doing a red game every year, and the Legacy Foundation has been very generous with us, donating money back to us as well, into our program, and they've really moved their resources around to help a lot of people in places that Jim loved, but also where people are that love Jim. So we're really trying to honor Jim's memory, and really his parents, specifically his mother, who have just asked us to continue to not let Jim's legacy go. And so it gives me an opportunity in situations like this that I'm able to talk about it. What a great teammate he was to everybody, and then I'll be able to talk to our guys about it in the locker room before the game. This is why we're wearing red. This is who Jim Griffin was. This is what kind of teammate he was. And I just think it's a way to continue to move that legacy forward.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing all that, Coach. And, it's just tremendous the more I learn about the Jimmy Griffin Legacy Foundation and, all the beneficiaries of that group. They've netted, around $300,000 over the years, and, that's gone to tuition scholarships, purchase and upgrades to the churches and schools he's attended, as well as helping out the American Heart Association to try to put an end to, this sort of, tragic type scenarios. Sure. So really congratulate you, Coach, on maintaining Jimmy's legacy, and we'll be out there in red on Wednesday as well.
Sounds good.
Now, also Wednesday is head men's basketball coach from Maryville, Randy Lambert, one of his last regular season game. In fact, the second to last regular season game in his career. It's his 39th and final season directing Maryville College. Now, I know Brevard College is new to the USA South,
right,
but I feel like, as a unit, as an athletic department, we're getting up to speed pretty quickly and getting to know these other schools and so forth. I know we're going to make a special mention for Coach Lambert before the game on Wednesday. What have your interactions been with Coach Lambert, and how important is he to the league?
Yeah, we talked about Covenant earlier as kind of the class of the league this year. I think Maryville has been the class program consistently for a long time. You go to Maryville and play a game, and they've just got banner beyond banner beyond banner beyond banner of their time, not just in the USA South, but before their time in the USA South, of winning conference championships and going to NCAA tournaments. And Coach Lambert's been there, like you said, a long time. I think he's got over 700 wins in his career. They won the league last year, went to the NCAA tournament, and they've been kind of the kingpin in the USA South for a really long time. And so I think it's a chance that while we don't have the history that some of the other schools do, it's still a tremendous career that he's had. And my interactions with him have always been very positive. He's always taken time to come sit down and talk to me and ask me how I'm doing, and small talk a little bit, talk about family a little bit, all that good stuff. So got to know him on a little bit of a personal level as well. And so all those interactions have been very good. So looking forward to reading some accolades of his, and giving him a little something from me, and then moving him on into retirement, so that we don't have to see him anymore.
Once that opening tip happens, sort of the attitudes will change slightly. Now, season finale at Huntington this Saturday after the final home game of the season. Again, the Red Out game on Wednesday versus Maryville, and then Saturday at Huntington, and then that'll wrap up the 2018-19 season for the Brevard College men's basketball team. Coach, we'll have you on next week to really kind of put a bow on the season and talk big picture and that kind of thing. But really appreciate you coming on, really on a weekly basis, and also sending KJ, to pinch hit for you at times. And we'll look forward to Wednesday, the big Red Out game. Hope a lot of fans can make it out to that one. Thanks again, Coach, for coming on the show.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess, as the Tornadoes are gearing up for Wednesday. Again, fans want to encourage you to wear red to the game Wednesday at the Boshemer Gymnasium. The Red Out game to help the Jimmy Griffin Legacy Foundation. And your last chance at the Bosch to see Brevard College men's basketball. And we'll change gears now, talk a little men's lacrosse, really get in deep with the men's lacrosse program for the first time this season on Tornado Talk. Joined by head coach Jim Fritz. Coach.
Hey, thank you, Phil.
Thanks for joining the show. Now, Coach, this past week we had the season opener at Montreat,
yes.
17-10 win. Hewitt Farr, 8 goals, tying the school record for single-game goals, tying his teammate Jackson McCaig. Let's start there. What were the good things you saw in the Montreat matchup?
Well, I think you start with Hewitt. I mean, you know, to have 8 goals like that, set a record, it was outstanding. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, we talk all the time about it's not where you're from, but, you know, can you play and are you coachable? Do you work hard? Do you work to improve? And he's done all that. I mean, he's from New Mexico, which is not a hotbed for lacrosse. And, you know, it was great to see him have that kind of day.
Speaking of which, have you learned his backstory? You know, how someone from New Mexico, which is not a hotbed in lacrosse, like you said, not only gets into lacrosse but finds his way to Brevard, North Carolina?
Well, I think somebody saw him play, previous coach, and you know, he's definitely a kid who loves the outdoors and liked everything Brevard in the area had to offer.
Now, also a big performance defensively, led by Peyton Mooney in goal. Had a nice game against Montreat, you know, with 11 saves. Talk a little bit about Peyton Mooney and what he brings as your goalkeeper.
Well, Peyton's been the anchor of our defense so far. I mean, senior, he's getting an opportunity to really start consistently and has been played great. His communication's great. And, you know, it was great for him because goalies rarely score points, and he had an assist in that game, and his father flew in from Canada for the opener. So for his dad to be there and for him to get that assist, I think meant a lot.
Okay, for fans who may not have seen the live stream or happen to be over there at Montreat, can you break down that assist and exactly how that happens, a goalkeeper, you know, registering an assist?
Timer's running out in the period, so we had told him we have a play where we throw it down, a long pass, and we try to throw it and make it a ground ball scrap, you know, and so we called that play, and he threw an 80-yard pass, and you would just kind of cradle right under, you know, was right under it, and caught it and ran to the goal and scored. It was a little surprising the defenseman misplayed it, but you know, it was great for both of those guys.
Home opener this past Saturday. You know, I know the guys were disappointed with a 21-5 loss, but a good Birmingham Southern club, correct, Coach?
They're a good team, and I think for us it was definitely kind of a good lesson. You know, we learned a lot from it. You know, they exposed some things we need to improve on. But at the same time, without taking anything away from them, you know, we were down some numbers with injuries and sickness, and I think it would have been a closer game if we had all of our guys.
Now, Coach, one thing I wanted to pick your brain on a little bit was just the leadership amongst your team. You know, you've got a couple of exceptional student athletes, you know, beyond a couple, you know, several exceptional student athletes led by Jack Shade, who's the president of SAC. Paxton Brown is the head of community engagement for the SAC program. Jack Shade, you know, took a break from, you know, preseason preparations to go to the NCAA convention in Orlando along with our athletic director, Miranda Nash, really, you know, getting involved from a leadership standpoint and setting himself up for a bright future. Could you elaborate a little more just how important guys like Jack and Paxton, and if I left anybody out as far as, you know, setting the mold for the younger players on the team?
And we have a great group of captains. You know, we have 2 seniors, 2 juniors as captains. And, you know, Hewitt Farr is one of those captains, Daniel Ramos, Bobby Kokel, and then Peyton Mooney. But we've got 10 seniors, and those guys have been through a lot, and they really set the tone, and they've helped really establish the culture we're trying to build. And, you know, guys like Jack Shade, while they might not be a captain, really step up and lead the way as well.
My hat's off to that group of young men, really doing great work, you know, away from the field as well, and I'm sure it's very meaningful for your team. Now, I do want to mention this as well because the team is dedicating the entire season to a very special cause. We just talked about the Red Out game with Coach Burgess, but you guys have a very honorable program as well, which is dedicating the season to the mother of Robert Kokel, one of the captains that you mentioned. His mother passed away last fall with cancer.
Yes.
So the team is dedicating the entire season to Kristin Kokel and her memory, and also the memory of all cancer victims, really trying to raise awareness, to try to put an end to cancer. Programs like the Lace Up for Lax coming up later this season, also the Headstrong Foundation work you guys did last fall. Can you tell listeners a little bit more, just how, meaningful this program is for your squad?
Well, I think, I think a lot of the players have known someone who's been touched by cancer. So, but they have that close relationship with Bobby, and they really wanted to do it. It was something that I spoke to them about, and they had already kind of thought about it. And that's why we wear the sticker with her initials on her helmet. But it is something that, I think the guys have been totally supportive of, not only with the Lace for Lax, but the Headstrong Foundation in the fall, where we'll raise some money.
Well, want fans to be sure to check out BC Tornadoes in the coming days here. A feature story is going to drop there as far as detail in this program, and certainly want everybody to be well aware of this special program for the Brevard College men's lacrosse team. Now, Coach, you're new to Brevard. Do want to let listeners know a little bit about your background. You're a veteran of the game of lacrosse. You've been coaching here in the North Carolina region for quite a long time.
Yes.
Could you tell folks a little bit more about your background and also how you found Brevard?
Well, I started, coaching in high school in New Jersey. Moved to college, and then had the opportunity to come down here and rebuild Pfeiffer's program and built them into a national power in Division II. And then Queens hired me to start their program and built them into a national power in D2. So I was familiar with Brevard. At one point, Juan had contacted me to help them as they were beginning the program. So, when the opportunity came to kind of come in here and build this program back up to where they want it to be, I thought it was a great opportunity.
And part of that building process is, having a strong staff, and you've brought in Arnaud Olivier as your chief assistant coach. Tell folks a little bit about Arnaud, his background, and how important he is to your program.
It's Olivier, sorry. But Arnaud has been outstanding. I could not have asked for a better assistant to have. I've been very fortunate over the course of my career to have had sent 10 assistant coaches on to Division I level, either as head coach or assistant, and I think he's just as good. He played at Lenore Ryan, but he had a little bit of coaching experience, and he's just been a great hire for us, and I think the guys really respond to him.
Arnaud Olivier, my apologies.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, we'll be hopefully have Arnaud on the show one of these days too, to get to know him even better. Now, back to action on the road, these next couple weeks, game at Emmanuel in Georgia, also at Randolph in Lynchburg coming up on the schedule. What are you guys working on in specific coming off these first two games of the year and then getting ready for that road trip?
Well, this is breaking news, but we're going to have to postpone our game on Wednesday.
Okay.
Because of the injuries and the flu that's gone through our team, we just don't have enough players to be competitive, so we're going to work that out, but we will play on Saturday. So what we've been working on is really kind of addressing some of the issues that we needed to improve from Saturday's loss, but then also, preparing for those next games in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a prudent move as far as, rescheduling that games, but then gives you a little more time to rest up, get mended up, because
Right.
I know you've hit the injury bug already this season.
Yes, one of our best players, Sam Duffy, broke his jaw in our first scrimmage. Rob Kokel had a concussion in the game Saturday, and then we've had some other injuries, like just minor here and there, but just have held guys out. And then added to that the flu, and it's not helped us.
Yeah, it's been a little bit erratic weather this time, so you got to take care of yourself as far as fighting off the flu bug.
It's hard at a college when it starts to go through the campus. It's hard at a small school to just avoid it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not your first rodeo having to deal with this kind of thing with your lacrosse team. Coach, last thing, for fans who may not have ever witness lacrosse, and there's plenty of them. Let's face it, huge in certain parts of the country, and certainly big here in North Carolina and growing all the time. What would be sort of just the layman's advice you would give a fan who's watching a lacrosse game for the first time?
Well, I've never met somebody who went and saw their first game and didn't really like it. They like the action. They're a little confused about the rules, but I would say follow the ball. But honestly, if you're it combines a lot of sports. It's a lot like hockey in the air. You've got the contact of football. You've got that up and down like soccer. So that would be my best advice.
And what I've learned tonight is follow the ball, even if the goalkeeper has it, because you never know, what could explode off of that. Well, Coach, thanks for joining Tornado Talk. It's been great having you on tonight. Best of luck to the team as they get healthy this week, and then hitting the road this weekend at Randolph against Lynchburg. Thanks, Coach.
Phil. Appreciate it.
All right, head men's lacrosse coach Jim Fritz joining the program. Big season opening win last week at Montreat. Hewitt Farr with 8 goals, tying the school record for single game goals. And we will switch gears yet again, now talking a little football. Joined now by the new defensive coordinator for Brevard College, Luke Jakes. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on the promotion to defensive coordinator. It'll be your first time being a defensive coordinator after having a lot of experience coaching both special teams and the defensive backs. What is going to be the biggest, on a personal level, adjustment for you becoming a defensive coordinator now?
Yeah, I think I've dreamed about this for a while, and honestly, what I'm realizing now, I think before you always think about X's and O's and how you're going to draw things up, but for me, it goes back just to the relationships with the kids, really. So I just believe with us, if our team has good chemistry and we're doing everything right, especially on the defensive side, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be pretty good. So.
And you certainly have the benefit of a tremendous coaching staff around you, and several guys who you've worked with for several years now. Coach Finley comes to mind, who got a promotion himself now to be the linebackers coach. Coach Cavell, who will be handling defensive backs as well as special teams, and of course head coach Kyatt, who you go back with a ways.
Right.
How important is it for you as far as leaning on those guys, communicating with those guys all the time, and working as a team?
Oh, it's really important. Coach Jaron, I can't say enough about him. He's probably my best friend on the staff. He's just a great guy, and he's just a great coach, great recruiter. Super lucky to have Coach Jaron Govea, and Coach Finley, same thing. I mean, he's been a Marine. He's such a inspiration and a leader for us. I mean, to have those two guys is unbelievable. And obviously Coach Kyatt. Coach Kyatt and I go back. He was the offensive coordinator at Scottsville Community College. He was coaching running backs, and at that time, I was coaching linebackers. So we would actually always go against each other. So it was really interesting. I've been with Coach Kyatt now for 3 years, and those guys are just great human beings and great coaches.
Now, the Tornadoes defense that you were part of that coaching staff last year, and you'll be taking over defensive coordinator duties, led the USA South in passing yards allowed, so top team in the conference against the pass. And then 2 players in particular, Quentin Jackson and Axel Easter, both with all USA South honors. Quentin Jackson, 4 interceptions, tied for the conference lead. Axel Easter with those 8 sacks, also a conference leader in that category. Reflecting back on 2018 and how special that defense was, and coming up big in big times, in some of those wins. Tell us a little more about how proud you are of that defense.
I'm so proud. Jaron and I talk about a lot. I even want to go back farther to 2017 when a lot of those guys, Jaron and I were taking care of the defensive backs. We weren't very successful. Those kids were true freshmen, and I think we finished 3rd to last in the conference. And it was a learning experience for sure. But those kids came back just a year later, and they did what they needed to do, and they became first team all conference. So I mentioned that just because a lot of people see the success we had this year, Coach Jaron and I, but it's really been a process. And, you know, for as many young kids, and reflecting back to this last year, all these young kids we played at linebacker and D-line, you know, I know they had a better freshman year than I feel like our DBs had. So I think they're going to be really good as well. And Jared and I were just so proud about how our guys performed this year, mentally, emotionally, physically, leaders. And I couldn't be more proud of what we did defensively, especially with Jared and I doing the things we did in the back end with those guys.
Now, Axel Easter is one of 4 Brevard College student athletes who, you know, now that their playing days is done with us here at Brevard,
Right.
is becoming a student assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
How far along in that process is Axel, and, you know, what are your hopes for him as a coach?
Man, I just had I had dinner with him tonight, like an hour ago, and I had lunch with him yesterday, and I think Axel brings a lot to the table. I think he has a lot to offer. He's always been a really intelligent person, and just yesterday he brought up a good point, you know, talking about sometimes we run multiple defenses, a 3-4 or a 4-3, and he was like, you know, I've run them all while I was here at Brevard, and you just got to go with what works for that team. And I said, that's funny. You're exactly right. I mean, Axel's a really bright kid, and I think he's going to help us out a lot in a lot of areas, and really lucky to have him stay on board.
Axel, one of 4 Brevard College student athletes who, now that their playing days are done here with the Tornadoes, are becoming student assistant coaches on the 2019 staff, along with Caleb Chandler, Bubba Craven, and Justin Peck. Peck's going to be working with special teams, which I know you've got a lot of experience with. You know, tell us a little more about his role.
Yeah, Peck is like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but the last couple weeks he actually played a little bit of corner and DB for me as well. He played D-end. He even played D-tackle for a little bit when we were doing a spy the last game. He played linebacker, and obviously he was our special teams captain, and he started on like every special team. So Peck can coach a lot of positions, and I think for special teams, Coach Jaron's going to be doing all 6, which I know he's going to do a great job at. But to get the help with Peck with special teams, and he's also going to hopefully help us with defense as well. So, I mean, to have Peck is going to be really huge. We're really excited about these student assistants. That we feel like our program's at a point now, all these kids want to stay and be part of the program even when they're done. And I think it's just going to really help us in a lot of ways you might not see on the surface, but inside, deep down, it's going to help out.
Now, Coach, would like listeners to know a little bit more about you and your journey. You know, you began as a player at Scottsdale Community College, then played for Southern Utah University. Then you started your coaching career a few years after that, places like Southwest Oklahoma, Scottsdale Community College, and ultimately here at Brevard College.
Mm-hmm.
As far as going from player, just like these 4 we were just talking about are experiencing right now,
Right.
As far as going from a player to becoming a coach and launching your career, how did that go for you?
I just, you know, people used to tell me, hey, you should coach, and I kind of put it aside. When I was done playing, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I actually didn't get into coaching until about I was 26. But it was just something I just always felt emotionally I really wanted to do. I actually wanted to be a counselor. I was a psych major, and I thought about it, and I said, you know, coaching's counseling. So I mean, I'm essentially doing what I wanted to do, and I get to involve football, and I get to be with this great staff. So I mean, that was the jump for me. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I've worked jobs before I started coaching. Working 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week felt like 100 hours, and we'll work a lot of hours at this job, and it feels like nothing, just because it's such a joy to come to work and do what you love to do.
Yeah, if you don't have that sort of passion for the job, you've got no business being a coach, no doubt. Now, you're from Mesa, Arizona originally, a long way and a lot different from Brevard, North Carolina. And, you know, I'm from South Florida, so sort of in a similar boat. And I love picking the brain of folks like this who've come a long way to land in Brevard, North Carolina, and at Brevard College.
Mm-hmm.
So far, you know, you've been here for a few years now. What makes Brevard so special?
Man, really, it's the head coach, honestly. I mean, not to sound cliche, but when I met Coach Kyatt, I just knew the type of person he was, and first of all, and the type of coach he was. And I told him, hey, man, if you ever go anywhere, I'd love to go with you, just because I felt like he was going to be something. And for me, just coming here with Coach Kyatt is just been it all, really, because, you know, in our business, they say if the head is right, like if the head coach is right, it's all right. So that's been the biggest influence and the biggest joy being here, just being, you know, under Coach Kayet. But also, I mean, Brevard's just a beautiful area. I mean, Phoenix, Arizona is beautiful in its own right, but it's a desert. So I've never lived in a mountainous area like this. It's crazy to think we could just drive down the street to Looking Glass Falls and see a waterfall, and I'll be at practice all the time, and I'll just look up, and I'm just like, man, it's so pretty. So I love Brevard, and I'm happy to be here. But yeah.
Now, you mentioned some of those attributes of, you know, not only the Brevard College football program, but the area here, you know, year-round just about, as far as you guys having your periscope up for recruits and you're talking to high school players all the time. What are, you know, the 3 or 4 top talking points for you as far as getting them fired up about Brevard College?
Right. First of all, we sell the coaching staff, really. You know, it might come as a surprise, but it's kind of hard to find good people in this business, and has been in my experience. And I feel like our whole staff, as it's been the last few years, has just been great human beings. And that's what Coach Kayet, when you talk to him, that's what he wants to look for first, and then coach is secondary. So we sell the coaching staff first and foremost. And then secondly, we sell, I would say, the experiential education, which is really big at Brevard, just the small classroom sizes parents really like and kids really like. We sell the area. Definitely, we sell the area a lot. Probably those 3 things the most we sell. And just we like to get kids on campus so they meet our student athletes as well. And I would probably say if you needed 4, that would probably be the 4th as well, because when they meet our players, I think they really resonate with the type of chemistry and everything we have in our program, and that's another selling point.
Now, you mentioned the coaching staff several times, and certainly, you know, a strength of the Brevard College football program. Want to encourage fans to go to bctornadoes.com. The announcement was made last week as far as the, you know, changes. A lot of the coaches coming back from last year, but also, you know, a couple of additions. And do want to mention one more with you, which is James Fitzgerald, who was a guest on the show last week, the new recruiting coordinator. He's also going to have a on-the-field role as far as coaching the fullbacks and H-backs. I know you go back with Coach Fitz as well.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Fitzgerald, he just was a killer recruiter. I used to coach with him at Scottsdale Community College, and he was bringing in a lot of those guys. He was our recruiting coordinator there, and the success we had at Scottsdale Community College, the 3 years I was there, one year we went 10-1. We finished 3rd in the country. Another year, the other 2 years, we actually played in bowl games, and he was a huge catalyst for those teams. And so getting him as a recruiting coordinator is big, but also he's been a coach, a receivers coach, and he's coached all across the board. And he's been a fabulous coach as well, and he's a really great person. So, I mean, to get him was a no-brainer. I mean, he is just going to be such a big influence and such a big impact on this staff and this program that I think we're really lucky to get him.
Well, the 2019 staff is ready to go, ready to, you know, continue building this program into, you know, something quite special at Brevard College. Coach, want to congratulate you again on last year's performance by the defense, you know, topping the USA South Conference in passing yards allowed, you know, all sorts of accolades amongst that defensive side of the ball. And congratulations as well on the new promotion, our new defensive coordinator at Brevard College, Coach Luke Jakes.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, that was head coach Luke Jakes joining the show.
Thank you.
Talking a little football here on Tornado Talk. And now we will circle back to the game of women's lacrosse. Happy to be joined now by senior midfielder Hunter Denny and freshman midfielder Hannah Scharf. Ladies, thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you guys on so close to your season opener. A exciting win over Bernal this past weekend. Hunter, we'll start with you since you're the veteran here.
I definitely am the veteran.
Now, you scored 2 goals in that season opener, but I'll ask you kind of a big picture, how did you guys feel as far as getting out there for the first time against some real competition? And do you feel like you accomplished a lot of the things you're looking to take care of?
Definitely. I think we did a lot better as a team than our scrimmage, and it was very exciting to have our first home game, and everybody contributed to that. So it wasn't just one person. It was everybody.
Now, looking at the roster, Hunter, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the only senior on the team this year. Is that right?
I think I'm the only one graduating.
Only senior due for graduation. Do you feel some sort of pressure, burden that, you're supposed to take this leadership role at all times? Or, are you just, sort of, hey, let me lead by example and do my thing?
I kind of like lead by example, I guess. I've only been playing for 3 years, so there's people that have been playing longer than me, so I kind of have to look up to them. So.
Very good. Now, Hannah, your collegiate debut this past weekend.
Yes,
congratulations on getting that first game under your belt, and you came through with flying colors, 2 goals and 1 assist in that win. Now, you scored your first career goal as a college lacrosse player, one that will forever be in the memory banks before it gets too far away from us. How did that feel, scoring your first goal?
It felt good. I was definitely surprised. I didn't expect the game, for me personally, to go as well, because I've been working hard. Coach has been helping me. I'm still learning my way on attack, but it felt good. It was definitely rewarding. All our hard work and practice is paying off.
Outstanding. Now, Hunter, you're from Pisgah Forest, North Carolina.
Yeah.
You can't get much closer to Brevard than Pisgah Forest.
Exactly.
So growing up, was Brevard College always sort of your go-to, and hey, it's just my this is my neighborhood, and of course I'll end up there? Or how did that all go as far as choosing colleges?
Honestly, I can't make up my mind, and it was close, and I wanted to stay a little bit closer. I did try transferring to East Carolina University and ended up coming back because I ended up liking it so much. It was very unexpected. I didn't plan on coming. So, but I enjoyed it. I came back.
Very good. And now, Hannah, you're from Southport, North Carolina, a little bit further away than Pisgah Forest. Tell us about your decision-making process and how either you found Brevard College or Brevard College found you.
Well, I joined a travel league back in Southport, and I was at a summer day. It was just, a game we had over in Myrtle Beach during the summer, and I met Riz there, and I was talking to her, and she was telling me about the school, and, it was a tiny little mountain school, and I knew what I wanted in a college. I knew I wanted the small class setting because I know what I wanted, and it sounded like a good fit. So I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. And I came up with my dad the first time, and I just fell in love with it. I love the mountains. I love the area, and I liked Riz too. I came and did a clinic with her, and it was awesome. And I was like, okay, that's my choice. I've made my decision.
Very nice. Well, we're glad you made your decision to come here to Brevard College. Now, the one thing that sticks out when I think about women's lacrosse is the tremendous community service you all have done as a team, not just this season, this academic year, but, the teams before you as well. Hundreds of hours of community service, places like Bread of Life, the Mountain Song Festival, Cindy Platt Boys and Girls Club, Brevard Wesleyan Church, Co-ed Cinema, Samaritan's Purse, Operation Christmas Child, and most recently you guys helped pack meals for the Rise Against Hunger program. Now, of all those, I'd like to hear from each of you. What's the most rewarding bit of community service you've done so far?
I personally liked doing the food packaging because it gave us a chance, to work with other people. Because a lot of times our community service, like when we go to Bread of Life, it's us as a team working together to get something done. But that was more community involvement. And for me, it just kind of made me feel like I was doing something bigger and contributing to something better, especially considering that our teammate Kaylee was the one that set that up for us and introduced us to that opportunity.
Great. And how about yourself, Hunter?
I definitely like the Rise for Hunger too. It was kind of like she said, more community, and I like helping everything, but that one was the most rewarding, and we got to meet so many people like in the community, and they were all so very nice. And I mean, the amount of stuff, like the food that we packaged, was insane. It was like a little assembly line. It was cool.
Well, and it's amazing to think that those meals are literally helping people who really need them, too. So you guys doing tremendous work. Please keep it up, and, really appreciate you guys sharing those stories there. Now, back to the lacrosse field, got a little time now between now and your next game. The week's basically free in terms of games. But I'm sure you've got a schedule ahead of you that your coach has set up. Let people know a little bit behind the curtain what's on tap this week for the women's lacrosse team.
Well, we're obviously going to be having practices. We usually get, a day off a week to kind of get ourselves together. The freshmen have study hall, and, we do volunteering still. But I know we're going to be focusing a lot on, making attack a well-oiled machine, because there's just so many new players. We're clicking together and learning each other and learning how to work together. So it's just, ironing out the wrinkles.
A lot of running. We got to get in shape. But from our scrimmage to the first game, we got in better shape. So probably a lot of running and, like she said, attack. I think that's our biggest. There's more room for improvement.
Well, want to congratulate you on a 14-5 victory over the weekend, but also good to hear that you see that there's plenty of things that need to improve upon. And we're going to have your coach on next, and I'm sure she will tell us even more, as far as exactly what you guys are working on. But in all seriousness, want to congratulate you guys not only on the win this weekend, but just being great student athletes here at Brevard College. You guys really make us in the athletic department proud, and want you to keep up the good work both on the field and off of it. And thanks for joining Tornado Talk tonight.
Yes.
It's been great to have you all on.
Thank you.
Sir.
All right, thank you.
Have a nice night.
Thanks.
Okay, that was women's lacrosse student athletes Hunter Denny and Hannah Scharf. Hunter with 2 goals in the season opener against Brunel. Hannah in her collegiate debut with 2 goals and an assist. So great to see Brevard College start 2019 off with a win in women's lacrosse, and now we get to hear from the coach herself, head coach Kristin Lozano, joining Tornado Talk. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, do want to recap a little more. We talked right after the game, the 14-5 win over Brunel. But for listeners who might not have been able to see the game or heard that interview, can you recap a little bit about, both the good things that you saw in that season opener and also the things the team needs to work on?
Yeah, so for the first half, we came out, had, I would say overall a pretty complete half, scoring 10 goals, had a shutout defensively. Clears were great, high percentage on that. So overall, it was a great first half. Second half, Brunel came out. They came at us, which I think is great for a young team. We need to be push right now. We need to be in challenging situations to get better, especially on the defensive end. Defensively for Brunel in the second half, they were great. I mean, they shut us down, and they actually ended up outscoring us. So, a lot of improvement on the offensive end still needs to happen. We need to, again, become more disciplined. I said that to you, right after the game, and watching the film from Saturday. You could see it. We know what we're doing, but execution-wise, it needs to be a little bit better. And, I look forward to practice because they are eager to learn. And, they want to get right back at it and try to fix what we messed up and maybe what we were a little weak at in the game.
Now, you have a young team.
Yeah.
And not only young, but a couple of players who are brand new to the sport of lacrosse.
Yep.
Can you talk about them in specific a little bit, and also just what that challenge entails exactly? Someone who's played another sport perhaps their whole career and now is, trying to learn lacrosse on a fast track?
Yeah, so I've had this, every year I've been the head coach, I've had someone brand new to the sport. Hunter Denny, who was just on, she was a soccer player here at Brevard, and then she wanted to try lacrosse, tried it out, and it's been great. And so this year was no different. We had Morgan Graham, Lauren Ward, and then Yaya also is a new one. And, you know, for us, there's actually 2 other additional ones that just happened, that just came on. But, you know, for any new player, it's just getting them to relax a little bit. They get so nervous. You know, they're worried about every catch, every throw. And just getting them to relax, and we find the spot that kind of works for them best, whether it's defensively or offensively. And kind of their strengths and weaknesses, and we work them into our system. I'm not afraid of having a new player. I think, you know, you have athletic, you know, players come out and you could do a lot with them. So I think Yaya, I think Lauren, Morgan, they were excellent, and they had some big plays Saturday. So it just shows, you know, we don't need years and years of experience to be great. We have, you know, good athletes that want to learn, and that goes a long ways.
And now specifically, is it the stick work that obviously would be the most foreign part of the game for a new player?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play lacrosse in college. I played soccer in college, and you know, that's definitely the most, you know, I think difficult part for people. But once they get it, and we do a lot of work. Tempest, my assistant, is great. She does a lot of work with all the newcomers, and you know, once they kind of relax, again, it's getting them to relax and understand it doesn't have to be perfect. If you can catch, if you can throw, you know, basics, we can do a lot with you. So we just try to get them to relax and work a lot on those stick skills.
Now, talk to Coach Fritz a little bit about this, but, you know, for people who might not be expert in lacrosse and were to come out, you know, to this past weekend's doubleheader, and if you were to watch, you know, both games, the men's game and then the women's game, the 2 sports are really different. Really 2 different, not only games, the way they're played, but also the way they're scored, you know, on and on. The rules are even, you know, quite different.
Yeah.
Can you shed a little more light on that, you know, again, for the layman, you know, the differences between men's and women's lacrosse?
Yeah, it's very different. If you go to a men's game, don't think it's women's lacrosse, because it's not. You know, you're exactly right. Biggest thing why I try to tell, you know, newcomers to the sport, you know, fans especially, had Morgan Graham's parents had no idea what was going to happen. And I just try to explain it's just like basketball, offense, defense. Offense, you're going to run plays, or it's kind of a motion style offense, and then defense, it's either zone or man. And then, you know, transition wise, is kind of similar to soccer. You want to open up the field, make it big, have good angles, make sure we always have support in terms of a trail. So it could be easily translated. I think where it becomes pretty difficult is the rules. I mean, they're shooting space, and we have the shot clock now. So there's so many changes to the sport, and it's still growing. But the general idea of it, if you kind of explain it's basketball and soccer, people, you know, they'll nod their head and say, yeah, I kind of understand.
And a huge difference as far as the face-off goes.
Yeah.
Can you, again, in layman's terms, describe the women's face-off and exactly how that works? Yeah,
so for the women, line up half field, 2 players, 2 people in the circle from each, so it's 3 players in the middle for each team. With the new rules, everyone else has to stay behind the restraining line, which is the red lines coming off of our field. And they're kind of locked heads to heads on the stick, and the ball has to go above shoulders. And it's kind of a free-for-all for the ball until someone gains possession, and then you know, they'll start the clock and everyone can start to move and get across that restraining line. But the men's is completely different. The men's, you know, they're kneeled down on the ground. Women's, they're standing up. So, you know, there's so many differences between men and women's lacrosse, and we tell people all the time, don't compare the 2.
Now, a week off, you know, in terms of games, and then the next matchup for the Tornadoes at Montreat on Tuesday, February the 19th, 2 p.m., you know, close by opponent in case folks want to head on over to Montreat and check on that one. And Coach, so what is the plan in terms of a day-to-day schedule leading up to that game without a game to be played this week?
Yeah, so today we took it pretty easy. A lot of recovery. My assistant Tempest, she ran the session today. A lot of stretching, got him out for a little jog, did some yoga to finish up today. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty packed day. We're going to do practice, weights, and film tomorrow, and then Wednesday they'll have the day off. And then starting Thursday, we'll put the game plan in for Montreat, start going over the scouting report. But we're going to use, these couple of days to, get healthy and kind of relax a little bit. And then tomorrow to fix little mistakes. We need to do some basic drills and get back to, passing and catching and ground balls and all that stuff. You need to work on that stuff every day. So we're going to use tomorrow to fix some things and then have a day off and then get right back after it.
Now, Coach, it's been a pleasure to watch your team off the field as well. Just tremendous work in terms of community service, around the Brevard, North Carolina area. I know it's something you're really proud of, and it's been happening under your leadership. Can you expound a little more just how important community service is to your team?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we recruit on. We're athletically, we're going to commit to that, academically, and then also just being good people. Not only on campus, but also in our community. And I don't think it's that difficult to go spend an hour a week to, give back to our community, because I do think we have great support at Brevard College. Bread of Life has been great for us. And then we also did the Rise Against Hunger recently. And I think that was a really rewarding thing for our girls. The girls were kind of talking about it a little bit, but 10,000 meals were made that day.
Amazing.
Just over an hour. So to be a part of that and to have community members come up and say thank you, and as well as all the members of that church, I think it's really rewarding. And again, it's something that, it's not a lot of time out of your day. An hour a week, that's nothing. So I think it's a great thing to give back.
Yeah, outstanding. Well, congratulations again on that. And, I know it's not ending anytime soon, that you guys will continue to be out there, really molding, young ladies, for the rest of their life, really. It goes so much further than just sports. And for those who might not be aware, the Tornadoes women's lacrosse team helped First United Methodist Church to pack approximately 10,000 meals as part of the Rise Against Hunger program. Coach, last thing, we had two of your student athletes, on the program, Hunter Denny along with freshman Hannah Scharf. Could you talk a little bit more about those two, and especially not just Hunter, but the other leaders on your team in terms of the upperclassmen? Yeah,
so Hunter's been great. I've known Hunter ever since I've got to Brevard, because I was originally the women's soccer assistant coach here, and then I transitioned over to become the head coach. And so I've known Hunter for, this is my 5th year to know Hunter. Hunter works extremely hard. You put a goal in front of her and she wants to reach it. She's a little banged up, and she still comes, to every game, every practice, and she works her butt off. So you can't ask for much more than that. And with Hannah drives me crazy a little bit, because she asks me a question. She'll do the smallest little mistake and come up and ask me 50 questions about it. But that's a good thing and a bad thing. I don't need you to worry about those tiny little details.
A little bit of perfectionism.
Yes, absolutely. But she's an absolute workhorse as well. And she's one, along with Catherine Collins, that we are really going to build this program around. They're our future, and I tell them that all the time. They're going to make a ton of mistakes right now, but when they're juniors, when they're seniors, those kids are going to be the ones that are carrying us. And I think they're going to be great athletes and great people here and do a lot. So
fantastic. We'll be watching every step of the way, Coach. Again, congrats on the season opening win, a 14-5 victory over Brenau this past weekend. Up next, Montreat on Tuesday, February the 19th. Coach, thanks for coming on Tornado Talk. Good luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Head coach Kristin Lozano, women's lacrosse, coming off that 14-5 victory over Brenau. And we'll keep this edition of Tornado Talk rolling along. Ready to talk a little women's basketball. And joined now by two members of the women's basketball team, Annalie Bollinger and Krista Davis. Ladies, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, Annalie, congratulations. You had your senior day on Saturday, and boy, did you go out with a bang. And it's great that the Tornadoes, won for the senior class of Annalie and Jatasha Hollinger. But for those who may not have heard, and unless you're living under a rock here in Brevard, you probably have heard by now, Annalie Bollinger on senior day, 28 points, 6 three-pointers made, now the all-time leader in three-pointers made at Brevard College. Congratulations, Annalie, on all of that and on your career and on a successful senior day. Annalie, you had seemed like half the gym was wearing blue shirts cheering you on there. Just how special was that day for you on Saturday?
Honestly, I don't really have words to put that into how special that was for me. To have that kind of support system just throughout my career has just been incredible. To look up and see 30, 40 blue shirts in the crowd and have all my family there on that night was so special to me. It wasn't about the record or points at that point in time. It was just good seeing their faces, and it wouldn't have been as special if I wasn't able to share it with them.
And now, Krista, I'm sure the team, whether it was in front of Annalie and Jatasha or, on you guys' own, wanted to get that win badly on Saturday, for your seniors. Was that something you guys talked about, that, hey, on senior day, we got to do this thing?
Yeah, we had to start off by, getting hype in the beginning, and we knew, if we start the game off like that, then we know we can finish with a win. And like I said, they have one more game now left. At the time it was 2, so we feel like they should finish out their season with a bang.
Now, Annalie, I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I know you're, a humble student athlete, so it's hard to, to talk about yourself. So I'm going to let you talk about the other senior, Jatasha Hollinger. Make it easy on you. How important has Jatasha been as a teammate and as a leader on this team?
Coming into the year, I didn't know much about her. We brought her in, and she transferred. And I was thinking, we have someone for 1 year. I won't get to know her that well, and it was completely different. I know her as a person. I know her as a player, and she's helped this team in so many ways. Defensively, she's just been so steady. I know that she's going to go out there and she's going to get a stop. She's going to bring us energy off the bench, and it's someone that a light on dark days. She's really special. Yeah,
really like a lockdown defender. You can often put her on the opponent's, top weapon, and, she'll smother, you defensively. Krista, one last thing as far as these seniors go. Can you kind of sum up, how important both Annalie and Jatasha have been to you personally, as teammates, and how much you're going to miss them?
Yeah, well, this is my second year playing with Annalie.
Nice to call me Anna.
And so, like I said, she'll truly be missed to the team. She was a really big impact, with her defensive and offensive side of her. And with Tasha, like I said, I've only been playing with her for 1 year, but, she's a lockdown character. She's a really good defender. That's her specialty that she brings to the team. And like I said, we're losing some great talent, so they really will be missed next year.
Now, Annalie, any good shooter needs players like Krista down low,
Sure.
And Krista and Avery have done tremendous work all season long, as far as, whether it's, setting a screen on a pick and roll type situation or grabbing an offensive rebound and kicking it back out to one of you shooters. Right. How important has Krista been to your game?
They really don't get enough credit. I know we give them a hard time, especially Chris. We go back and forth, but without screens and kickouts and just moving people out of the way to get us shots, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. Sometimes she screens, and I'm having to shoot it over Chris, too, and I can't even see the rim because she's so tall. But without them, we wouldn't get the shots, and the offense wouldn't work the way it would. So.
And, Krista, what is the secret to the offensive rebound? Because, there's been a couple games that you guys have been racking them up. And, is it basically just like, hey, crash the boards as hard as you can? Is it, an awareness of, the defensive rebounder and trying to position yourself just right. How do you approach the offensive rebound?
I would say it's a bit of both. Like, good positioning. You got to be able to see if the shot's going to be long, short, and sometimes the team calls their shot out. If it's going to be short, long, so it puts me, I can, find my position, be able to get the offensive rebound. And, they really help us out with that. That's why I always tell them, please call your shots when you, shoot. So, it makes it easier on me and Avery.
Nice.
So.
Well said. Now, Annalie, you were named to the class of 2019 for the WBCA So You Want to Be a Coach program. And for those who might not know, and from what I've gathered, you do want to go into the coaching profession eventually. Talk a little bit about that program and sort of, what you see ahead of you in terms of a path, to get into coaching.
That program is actually just for female athletes who have exhausted all 4 years of their collegiate career. And to get into the program, you submit a resume, one-page recommendation from your coaches, and a one-page just report about yourself. And you submit it, and then they nominate you. I don't know how many they nominated this year, but they put your name on a list. You go to a convention. The convention's in Tampa this year, and you meet a lot of college coaches from all over the United States, and you go to the Final Four championship game. And it's really just to get your foot in the door, to get your name out there, put your name on a list, make connections.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations for getting on that list, because it seems to me like a great springboard to, get you started in this process, and some great opportunities going to the convention and Final Four and so forth. Now, Krista, back to business. There's still one more game to be played here, and it's a rematch against Pfeiffer, who you played on Saturday. And that was a close game, 4-point game at the end of the day, 67-63. Pfeiffer wants revenge, on the Tornadoes. What have the coaches, Coach Hudson and Coach Hyatt, who we'll have on a little bit, been telling you guys, so far as preparing for Wednesday?
Well, we have to start the game off strong. We kind of lagged through the last game, and then we kind of got in late. But I would just say we have to go in giving our all and give our all for a whole 40 minutes, and not just pick and choose certain moments where we want to give our all, certain moments when we want to walk through stuff,
A complete performance, it sounds like, is what you guys need, because, I don't think Pfeiffer is going to, hold anything back in this one. Annalie, similar feelings as far as getting prepared and ready for Wednesday?
Yeah, Coach Hud and Coach Hyatt always do a good job of preparing us with scout and film and getting us ready, and it's the same mentality that we've had all year. It's a game. It's no more pressure than any other game. We're going to finish out strong, but the idea is to go into it, to play our game of basketball, and come out with a win.
Outstanding. Well, we'll be following along on Wednesday and monitoring you all in that game at Pfeiffer. Would love to see a season sweep over Pfeiffer to, close out the season. Krista, thanks for coming on the show. Thank you for all that dirty work down low that, doesn't, like Annalie says, always get, all the headlines and everything, but sure makes the thing tick. You along with Avery have had great seasons, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, block shots, finishing plays, at the, some of that interior passing. So keep up the great work, Krista Davis. And Annalie, congratulations on your successful senior day. You're in the record books on the top of that three-pointer made list now, career here at Brevard. And I can't wait to see what's next for you in terms of the coaching world. So we'll be following that as well. But first things first, we got to keep, on the one day at a time theme, heading into Wednesday. Good luck at Pfeiffer.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the show, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
All right. From women's basketball, Annalie Bollinger, now the all-time leader in three-pointers made at Brevard College after that big senior day win, 67-63 over Pfeiffer. And our final guest of this evening, women's basketball assistant coach Taylor Hyatt. Coach, welcome to Tornado Talk. Good to have you.
Thanks. It's been a while.
Well, Coach Hyatt, let's start with this past weekend, 67-63, the win over Pfeiffer on senior day. It couldn't have been more a storybook than, for Annalee to break the record and to have that huge game, but probably most importantly for the Tornadoes to get the win. Can you sum up Saturday and just how big that was for you all?
It was massive. I mean, people that have watched us and followed our program have seen this year we've struggled finishing out close games. So with about 1:30 left, I looked at our manager Mia and I said, my hands are sweating. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. But we finally slowed down. We slowed down our game. We didn't let the time getting short speed us up like we normally do. So for me, I was like, we've just progressed. We finally finished out a game and held on to a win and didn't let it slip away. So it was big. It was huge.
Now, kind of a rare scenario where you're playing the same exact team, just a few days later, now going at Pfeiffer for the regular season finale this Wednesday. Have you started? I'm sure you have, but, what elements does that bring as far as playing the same exact team, again in a rematch like this?
So you would think it would be much simpler and much easier to work on our scout. But Coach Hudson and I focus more on ourselves now. We can focus more on Brevard basketball and how we're going to hopefully beat Pfeiffer again on Wednesday. So it's going back and watching film and seeing how they played our plays more in depth. Because in the game, you catch little things, but going back and watching film, you see, we can change that up for how they're guarding it this game and then make another counter to that. So it's just watching how Pfeiffer played it again and again and again and seeing how we can go into different slots and different gaps and move a little bit differently to still throw them off.
Now, I want to get to the seniors in a minute, but before I do, Krista Davis was, a guest on the show just a few minutes ago, and Krista and Avery Lockwood have been outstanding this season down low. And Annalee said, hey, these two don't get enough credit for how important they are to the whole machine of Brevard College women's basketball. Can you talk about Krista a little more, and as well as Avery, and how important those low post players are to your team?
Absolutely. What a lot of people don't know about our program is that Deja Riddick, number 20, she likes to think of herself as a big. And then in practice, I work with the post players. So when I have Krista, Avery, and Destiny, sometimes they'll be down there with us, and I'll bring Deja in, and Deja's like, this work is awful. Like, having to beat and bang constantly with somebody is just miserable sometimes. And then, we're sweaty, we're nasty. I mean, you continually bang. And, if you've never played down there, you don't understand it. So what they go through, their body should be in much worse shape for the beating and banging that they have to do. And I had to play down there. I was a center here at Brevard, so I know what it takes, and I know how hard it is. But for guards that never get down there and never know the fight that they have to go through, it's a battle every night and every day in practice. And Avery and Krista have just continued to go at each other and make each other better as the season has gone on. Avery came in, watching what Krista did, learning how she played, and then it was vice versa, and they just battle every day in practice. So they take that into the game. They don't take a matchup lightly, especially when they know that post player may be able to drive. They know to go ahead and back up and then body them straight up at the basket and try not to foul.
What I'm hearing from you is it's so much more than just size. It's a mentality down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And one that you lived. You played 4 years here at Brevard College. Now in the coaching ranks, but still not that far removed that you can relate a lot, I'm sure, to what these student athletes are going through.
Absolutely.
How useful has that been to you as far as being like a recent graduate who's now in the coaching world, and you can remember, hey, I remember when I had those feelings or I had to deal with this or that?
So my first year coaching, I was coaching people I'd played with. And in my head, I was like, I have a huge advantage here. I know how these kids play. I know where they want the ball, this, that, and the other. But being on the coaching side of it is just completely different. It's a whole new aspect because I might know it, but their teammate doesn't know it. So trying to figure out how to coach a kid to understand their teammates was a whole new realm to me, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Last year, Kelsey Ryan, I played with her, and Whitney DeBoss. So I still had people that I had played with that I was able to coach. So this year was like a whole new world. Annalee knew I'd played with those kids. So they kind of told her how I was as a player, and I haven't changed much as a coach. I'm more of the yeller as opposed to Coach Hudson. But I was the same way as a player, just trying to get you in the right spot and trying to get you to see the big picture of the game, and not just focus on that turnover or that. Or I was trying to get you in the right spot on offense so that we could get it flowing or get this person open. So it's just, yeah.
2014 graduate of Brevard College, a Brevard College alum, now in the coaching world and assisting head coach Donald Hudson. Now back to those seniors, because I want to make sure we fully cover, this story, which was just enormous this past Saturday. But let's start with senior Jatasha Hollinger, and I talked to Coach Hudson right after the game, and the sentiment time and time again with Jatasha is, hey, her name doesn't show up in those statistical categories all the time, but boy, does she do the little things that are important to this
Absolutely.
team. Can you tell folks even more about Jatasha and maybe, something they might not be aware of, if they're just watching the game from afar?
So for me, I wasn't an offensive player either. I tried to be as best defensively as I could in the post, and that's what Tasha is. She doesn't ask to be recognized. She doesn't do anything she's not comfortable doing. She's not gonna take 15 shots in a game. She knows that's not what she's her best at. She can do it, absolutely, but she would much rather defend and help a teammate get a deflection or get a steal. And to me, that shows a lot about her character. She doesn't have to see her name on a stat line, which a lot of kids love seeing that, and that's fine. But she's just not one of those kids. She's very humble, very, very humble kid. I would hate to have her on me if I was an offensive player. She's like a gnat, is what we call good defensive players. So she's very humble, and still not looking to see her name.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be tough to replace Jatasha Hollinger. I'm sure you've got, some players of mine already who can take on that role, but those are big shoes to fill. There's
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Now, Annalie Bollinger. I mean, what a blockbuster performance on Saturday in front of, like she said, 30 or 40 family members who are all in blue cheering her on. The senior day ceremony before the game, and then she explodes for 28 points, 6 3-pointers, becomes the school's all-time three-pointer made leader. Just an incredible performance. When the spotlight was on her, shining bright, she came up huge. Same question I had with you about Jatasha Annalie. Everybody, now knows these stats, but what do folks not know about Annalie Bollinger?
What you might not notice is that she was 1 for 5 from 3 at halftime.
That's the coach speaking right there.
I mean, we look at stats when we get them, and I was like, oh, man, she's 1 for 5. She's got this huge crowd here. Her mom had told me a couple weeks before she was about to have a massive crowd for her, and I just wanted her to get going, just to go out at home with a bang. I mean, Annalie is just, she's a great kid. What a lot of people don't know is she actually coached with my dad this summer for his travel AAU team. So she would travel to Mount Airy, North Carolina to coach with my dad, and then go to AAU tournaments and showcases, where she'll be in the scene as a college coach at these showcase events just on the other side of it. So I was able to talk to her while she was at these events and let her know what I was doing. Talk to her about the kids I was looking at, why I was looking at them, why I thought they were a good fit, just try and get her in the mentality of what she will be doing, either as a grad assistant wherever she goes or as an assistant coach. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know she's put in a ton of work to try and be a college coach. She's talked with me. She's talked with my younger sister who coaches at Presbyterian College. She's an assistant there. And then my father still coaches for the Surrey Storm, which is a travel AAU team. So she's just put in so much work to get to her goal.
Wow, which is really exceptional for an undergraduate to get that sort of head start in the profession. Most people don't figure it out until, after post-graduation. And here she is, already with all this experience, part of that. So you want to be a coach class of 2019 for the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. So she's on her way to being a coach. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to happen. What kind of coach can she be exactly?
So a lot of the times when she and I are talking, because when we take Vans to away games, she sits in the passenger seat. So I just talk to her about how completely different it truly is from being a player to being a coach. Because you think you know the game as a player, and you do, but then getting to the coaching side, it's much more than a scout. It's now, where are you staying at for a hotel? Where are you eating? How are you getting there? What time are you departing? What time do you need to be at the gym by? Is your trainer traveling with you? Just all the little ins and outs that players don't think about. I know I didn't. I was just like, oh, okay, we're going here. That's happening. It was already arranged. I didn't have to think about it as a player. So it's going to be a whole new world for her.
The world of logistics.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely see her being with the guards during workouts, respectively so, because it's what she is. But she can also talk to post players as well. I mean, she knows the game well enough to be able to adapt to any situation and help out any program that she goes to. And I have full faith that she'll end up somewhere great and do great things with that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun to watch her, blossom into a coach. And but first things first, one more game this year at Pfeiffer, 6 p.m. This Wednesday, a rematch of this past Saturday's thrilling 67-63 win by the Tornadoes. Coach, thanks for joining Tornado Talk. It was great to have you on the show. Congratulations on this past weekend's win, and good luck at Pfeiffer on Wednesday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Coach. That was assistant coach Taylor Hyatt of Brevard College women's basketball, and also an alum of Brevard College. Always great to have the alumni in the house. Well, I want to thank all of our guests tonight. It was a loaded potato of a show. Men's basketball head coach Lee Burgess, men's lacrosse head coach Jim Fritz, new defensive coordinator for Brevard College football Luke Jakes, women's lacrosse head coach Kristin Lozano, women's lacrosse student athletes Hunter Denny and Hannah Scharf, women's basketball student athletes Anna Lee Bollinger, Krista Davis, and women's basketball assistant coach Taylor Hyatt. Want to thank all those guests for joining us tonight. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and our home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Hope to see you later this week at some home Brevard College Tornadoes athletics events. Wednesday, baseball opening day at Gilcone Field. That's 2 p.m. versus Montreat. So head on over to Brevard College on Wednesday and check out the Tornadoes on opening day at Gilcone Field, 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, the home finale for men's basketball, 7:30 p.m. at the Bosch versus Maryville. And that is the Red Out Day. Be sure to wear red for just really an amazing cause, the Jimmy Griffin Legacy Foundation. And then if you're making your weekend plans, baseball will be back in action, a doubleheader that will start at noon at Gilcone Field against Toccoa Falls. Want to thank everyone for making tonight's show possible, and thank you for either watching or listening to the program. We will see you next week, 7 p.m. here at Dugan's Pub for Tornado Talk. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.